So thank you all for being here tonight. I know you all took time out of your busy schedules to be here, so we all appreciate that. I am going to go ahead and turn things over. Thank you all again for being here for the Florida State University's first year admissions information session. We have with us tonight Miss Ashlyn. She's the program director within Outreach in the Department of Admissions. She's going to go ahead and do her presentation. If you can, please hold all your questions until the end. And then at the end, we will discuss how we will go through the questions and answers. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Miss Ashlyn.
Thank you. So yes, as Jody said, I am the Program Director of Community Outreach within the Office of Admissions. So tonight we'll kind of cover some different things to pay attention to about the application process, some different things about what it looks like to actually attend Florida State, and then at the end, end off with some questions and answers for you all. So really quickly, if you actually scan that QR code here, it does allow you to connect with us on social media if you're interested in that. So kind of staying up to date on the different things we're posting. Sometimes we do post things related to the application process, as well as just events going on campus. So definitely recommend connecting with us on our socials. So just some quick things about Florida State University. So first things first, we do offer over 280 plus academic and professional degrees. So this is our bachelor's, our master's, and our doctorate programs. We also offer a smaller size for our students. So student to faculty ratio is 21:1. So even though we are a larger campus, we do kind of maintain that small family vibe or communal vibe for our students. So they do not feel like they're just another number on a bigger campus. For the past year, we've been ranked number 8 in best value of college for U.S. News and World Reports. And we also have a 95% retention rate. So this is our returning students from going from first year to second year in college. So we do a really good job of making sure our students do come back after that first year, which can be a little bit of a transition, but we do our best with the different services that we offer for students to make sure they're returning for us. And on the right here, you can kind of see where we're located. North Florida, Tallahassee, where that big little pin is for you. So a couple things. So there are two steps to actually applying to FSU. I know some students may have already started the application process, so this may be a refresher for some, and it may be new information for others. So the biggest things here to pay attention to is applications did open back up in August 1st of your senior year, so this past August. And there are 2 ways that you can actually apply. You can use the Common App or the institutional app. We do not have a preference of which one you use. We just recommend use the one that is the most convenient to you. Oftentimes, we do encourage students to use the Common App because it does allow you to apply to multiple different institutions using the same application versus having to go on each individual institution's website to turn in your application. But it's definitely up to you, whichever one is your preference. When you are applying, you do want to make sure that you're applying to the term that you wish to enroll in. We will not consider you for any other term. So if you plan to attend school starting in the summer, you want to make sure that you're putting summer 2024. Same thing if you're planning to start school in the fall term, fall 2024. But again, we're not going to consider you for summer if you're putting fall 2024. We used to, but over the years, since our application numbers have grown, we no longer do that. So again, make sure you're indicating the term that you wish to enroll in on your application as the one you want to apply to. And then you'll just submit your application for this first part. Now, keep in mind, if you are using the Common App, it is going to take about 2 to 3 business days to process on our end. And then you will receive an email from us saying, hey, thank you for turning your application. Now let's go ahead and move you over to the application status check page, which is step number 2. So again, for that, if Common Appers, it is going to take you about 2 to 3 business days to receive that email from us, okay? So after you've done step 1, now we're moving over to that application status check page. So this is pretty much your portal that's going to house the remaining portion of your application. So where you'll do your special programs application. So if you're looking at applying to honors or a Care Summer Bridge program, you'll link your self-reported student academic report or your SAR, your first year list, your first year resume, your essay, etc. This is where the remainder of those items are going to go on to actually complete your application. So just because you've turned in that Common App or that institutional app does not mean your application is complete. This is the next part that we want to make sure that we're going to complete. So on the left, you'll kind of see a visual of what it's going to look like for you. So you'll actually get information for who your counselor, your assigned counselor is, that if you do have questions, you can reach out directly to them. You'll also be able to monitor your application to see where it is in the process, or is it in awaiting decisions, or is it awaiting materials, etc. And then you get to kind of see what application requirements, checklist items you have remaining. If you look down at the corner, it has like the X for awaiting for your SAR, X for your first year essay, etc. So this is a great place to keep monitoring as you're going through that application process. That middle tab is the special programs application. So again, if you are applying to something like honors or the Secure Summer Bridge program, or if you're looking at a major that does require an additional application in addition to the first year application, all of that will be housed in that second tab. And in that third tab is just a frequently asked questions tab. So it has information about how-to videos, the STAR information, as well as any glossary terms that come up a lot in the admissions process. So you really want to stay familiar with this page and use this throughout the process to make sure everything's getting turned in. When you call into our office, we're going to reference this page as well to see what you're asking about and see where you are in your process also. So again, this is step 2 after we've turned in that institutional app or that common application. So some things I want to cover with the SAR, because this is a very tedious process to turn in, but it's so important and crucial to the review for your application. So your SAR is pretty much an electronic transcript that we're going to use in our admissions process. Most public state institutions do require that you turn in a SAR. So the beautiful thing is once you do one SAR, you're done. You can link it to all the other applications that you're applying to or colleges you're applying to and use that same single SAR. So it is a tedious process, but it's only once that you have to do it. Now, for us, we do require that you have that SAR on file to actually get a review for application. And then all students attending a US-based school typically do have to return in that SAR. Some schools don't require it, but again, most of your bigger public schools are going to require that SAR. So there's some things we like to tell students when you're filling out that SAR is to pay attention to is enter your grades exactly how they appear on your transcript. What's going to happen is after you turn in your SAR, we'll use that for review. And if you're accepted into our institution, we're then going to ask for an official high school transcript to make sure that SAR matches up with that high school transcript. If there are any discrepancies, depending on what the discrepancy is, it can result in a rescind of admissions. So we really highly recommend that whatever is on that SAR or whatever is on that high school transcript needs to match up with whatever you put on your SAR. Regardless of the grade, we want to see it. Regardless of the course, we want to see it. Next thing, of course, is list all courses associated with grades. So going back to, does not matter what the course looks like, the grade looks like, we want to see it. If it's been attempted for credit or will be attempted for credit, we want to see it. Enter your grades for all courses completed through grade 9 through 12. Some students will take classes in middle school that count for high school credit. So we also want to see that too. That's typically if you're taking like Algebra 1 in your 8th grade year or Spanish 1, et cetera. Some students do start their high school coursework in middle school. So you also want to link that or list that. Some things to avoid when you're doing the SAR is do not apply weight to your grades, regardless of the type of course, if it's AP, IB, ACE, etc. Again, list exactly how the grade is listed on your course, on your transcript. Do not convert your grades into another format. So when you're filling out SAR, it's going to give you the option to do a letter format or a number format. Do the letter format. That's how it shows up on your high school transcript, and that's how we want to see it when we're reviewing your SAR. And then do not average your grades. So again, biggest things for the don'ts is it needs to look exactly how your official high school transcript is going to come in for us once we're asking for that official high school transcript. So special programs, we talked about a little bit about this, but essentially this is that tab if you're looking at applying for anything for honors, the Secure Summer Bridge program, or if you're looking at a major that requires an application in addition to the first year application. So something like film, music theater, nursing, et cetera, those programs. Now, once you've turned in your application, you definitely want to check this tab, because if there are any checklist items associated with that specific major or program, it's going to show up on this tab. So you definitely want to check and make sure you've turned in everything related to that specific application, because just because you indicate that you're interested in something, if you do not have a complete application for it, we won't consider you for it. So definitely make sure you're checking that special program application if you are looking at doing one of those. So some deadlines we want to be mindful of. So first things first, we do offer early action. Early action is a non-binding decision. It sometimes gets confused with early decision. In the state of Florida, a lot of the public schools actually don't offer early decision. That is a binding decision. Early action basically says that if you apply by October 15th, you have all your materials in by October 15th, you're going to receive a decision from us on December 14th. And you have the choice at that point to accept that admissions offer or say, no, I've decided to go elsewhere. And the early action is only available for Florida students. For regular decision, it's a traditional December 1st deadline, and you'll receive a decision from us on February 15th of 2024. And then rolling decision, this is a March 1st deadline, and it's released on a rolling basis in early April, almost like a waiting list. So as seats become available, we'll pull from that list of students who applied for rolling decision to see if we can fit them into our upcoming cohort. So of these three, we encourage early action and regular decision. It is very hard to get in for rolling decision because, again, at that point, we're just trying to fill seats. And if we only have 10 seats, but we have 500 students who applied to rolling decision, you can kind of see how competitive it gets depending on how late you applied, et cetera, where you fall within that wait list also, and also your academic background as well too. So really want to focus on that early action and regular decision. Now, one thing to notate is for those deadlines, we do require at least one test score on file for your application to be considered complete. We allow students to self-report, very similar to STAR, how you're self-reporting your high school grades. Once you're accepted into Florida State, you will have to turn in verified scores. So very similar to that STAR, your self-reported scores need to match up to that verified scores that you're going to receive once accepted into the university. We will allow you to turn in multiple scores because we do super score, meaning we take all the sections of the subsections of your different exams and take the highest one to get your total composite score to use that for admissions purposes. So again, at least one needs to be on file by the actual either October 15th or December 1st deadline, but we will continue to take those additional test scores. So for instance, that early action deadline, the last scores we're going to take is the December 1st. That's the deadline for December 1st. So for students who are looking to apply to that early action, the last score we're going to consider is that November SAT. For students who are applying to regular decision, the last scores we're going to consider for this time is the December SAT and the December ACT. And then for rolling decision, it will be February ACT. But again, we need at least one score by the actual application deadline, and you can continue to submit more scores up into that final deadline for test scores. So now kind of moving into our holistic admissions review process. So we'll kind of break this down so you can see what this actually looks like from our office, because we do employ a holistic review process. So we're not just looking at test scores and grades, GPA, et cetera. We're looking at you as an individual, what you did inside the classroom, as well as outside of the classroom. So our holistic review process is based off of our three torches of VEERS, ARTIS, and MORAS. And VEERS translates to strength, ARTIS translates to skill, and MORAS translates to character. And we'll look at these individually for what they look like on the actual application. So for our VEERS, this is where we're looking at those grades and test scores. Now, I do tell students grades and test scores are only 1/3 of the review process. So to not get so hung up on the grades and test scores, they are important, but it's not the make all break all for our application review process. Now, one thing when it comes to grades and test scores, we are reviewing them in the context of your high school. excuse me. So what this looks like is when we're looking at the strength or the rigor of your course schedule, we're looking at to see what does your high school offer. So for instance, if you are a student that goes to a high school that does not offer a lot of APs, okay, we're going to take that in consideration when we're looking at that high school credit to not say, all right, well, this student didn't take a lot of AP courses, so I'm going to reduce the strength of their coursework. No, I'm going to take in consideration that we know that high school doesn't offer a lot of APs. So we're going to grade your kind of grade or scale your coursework based on your specific high school, as well as in comparison to the students at your specific school. So just kind of pay attention to that, or not, excuse me, not pay attention to that. Kind of keep that in mind as you're turning in your STAR and also looking at our academic profile. It's in comparison to what the specific school that you go into, you're going to. So this is our admitted profile breakdown of our previous admitted students. So one thing to keep in mind as you're seeing this 4.1 scale, we do recalculate your GPA to do an FSU core GPA. And what that basically means is we're going to take in consideration your English, your math, your natural science, your social science, world language, and we're going to calculate that on our scale so that we can actually compare students across the board to make it apples and apples comparison as we're admitting students. And what this helps us to do is if we have a school, for instance, that has a 5.0 scale versus a school that has a 4.0 scale, it's helpful for us to actually kind of equal the playing field to be able to compare apples to apples when we're looking at those GPAs. And also because we place higher emphasis on specific course categories, it allows us to also compare from that standpoint as well. So for our summer profile, on average, our students were looking at about a 4.1 to a 4.5 on our FSU core GPA recalculated. The SAT average was about a 1230 to a 1320, and that ACT average was about a 26 to a 30. For the fall cohort, we were looking at about a 4.3 to 4.6, a 1340 to 1450 for that SAT, and then a 29 to 33 for our ACT. And then for our Care Summer Bridge students, our first generation program, we were looking at a 3.7 to a 4.2, a 1040 to a 1200, and then a 20 to a 25 for that ACT. Now I show you these numbers, but one thing I want to highlight at the bottom is this only represents the middle 50% of our students. We admit both above and below these numbers. So these are very much just benchmark numbers, but it is not the end all be all if you do not fit in certain ranges. A lot of times students will ask us, what's the minimum? We don't have a minimum. So we don't have a minimum that we can give you. It's just really, again, based on that holistic review process. And again, grades and test scores are only 1/3 of that application piece. And again, we do admit above and below these numbers. This just kind of gives you like an estimate of what we're typically looking for, but it's not the end all be all for all of our students. So moving on to the next piece of our holistic review process, so that ARTIST, so that skill. This area primarily focuses on what are you doing outside of the classroom. So this is the community service piece. This is work experience, sports, etc. We're going to pull this information from that resume. So your resume is pretty important. That's why we have it as a first year list of activities. We want to see what you're doing outside of the classroom. So some things to kind of keep in mind when you're doing your resume, things you want to include is work experience, of course, leadership experience, volunteer experience, family obligations. Some students are responsible for taking care of siblings while parents are at work. That's stuff we want to know about. Hobbies, skills, awards, honors, those type of things. We want to see what are you doing outside of the classroom, because not only are we looking to see can you meet our academic rigor, can you meet our community rigor as well. We're looking for involved students who actually are taking what they're learning in class and applying it outside of the classroom, giving back to the community, joining student organizations, etc. We want involved students. So we are taking that resume pretty seriously. The next one is MORAS, which is character. So this is really asking, are you a good fit for Florida State's community? Where we're pulling this from is your first year essay. First year essay is so important. We read all our first year essays that we receive. And the reason we say they're so important is if we have a student who has the same GPA and the same test scores as another student, The first thing we're going to go to is that first year essay to get to know them more as a person, to figure out who's a better fit, because technically your GPA and your test scores are the exact same. So now we're looking at you as an individual. So some things when you're doing your first year essay to pay attention to is, of course, discuss future college and career goals if you can, depending on the prompt that you choose. And we're going to pull in the prompts from Common App. So we don't have one specific Florida State question. We're using the Common App questions that you can find on Common App. You can also find them on our admissions website. But we want to see future goals and career goals that you're talking about. We want to see, did you learn from a lived experience? So if something happened, what did you learn from it? Show resilience from a life experience. So if you do have some experience of some sort that was maybe a traumatic experience or something that kind of changed you as an individual, we want to know about it. But tell us, what did you learn from it? How did it impact you? Where are you going from it? Of course, since this is a college essay, we definitely want to see that you can write. So please demonstrate good writing skills. And really, your essay is a place to tell us something about you that we can't pick up otherwise in your application. This is not the place to regurgitate the resume. We're going to look at the resume. So this is the time to actually tell us more, that if I looked at your resume, I looked at your test scores, I wouldn't know this information. This is something more about you as an individual and why you're a good fit for Florida State. And just a quick snapshot, all students do have to turn in that first year essay. So do pay attention to that. It is required for you to have a complete application. If you are applying to the CARE Summer Bridge or the University Honors Program, they also have short answer responses that you must turn in as well in order for you to have a complete application for them as well. So keep that in mind. If you're applying to both of them, you're going to have that first year application, first year admissions application we're looking for, the 2 short responses for CARE Summer Bridge, and the short response for the honors programs as well. So just pay attention to the writing requirements as you're completing your application, because sometimes what we'll see students do is they'll do one part, not turn in the writing part for another program, and unfortunately we're not able to actually consider them for that program. So just make sure you're paying attention to the writing requirements for the programs that you're looking at. So really quick, just kind of going over our tuition and cost estimates. So here, this just kind of gives you a breakdown of what it looks like to actually be a student at Florida State. Now, there are some numbers on here that are contingent upon your living habits. So for instance, food, transportation, personal, et cetera, those things can change based on the student's actual living habits. So for most of our students, they're taking about 13 to 15 credit hours each semester. This is based off of a 13 credit hour. So we're looking at tuition about that almost close to 6,000 range right there, or 6,000 range. Fees are anything associated with you actually taking the class. So for instance, you'll have like an FSU card fee, or if you have a class that maybe provides materials, you'll have a fee associated with that course. At the beginning of each semester, you'll get a breakdown of your bill on your FSU portal. You can actually see what's associated with each fee or each class and see what am I paying for, basically. On-campus housing, so if you are living on campus, that's what the estimate is going to look like for students. That number can change if you are living off campus. So housing is one can change. Food can also change. This is based on if you have a meal plan, and we offer multiple types of meal plans. So this is kind of on the higher range of meal plans. Books, of course, depends on the classes. It depends on if you actually need books for every class. And supplies, again, what do you need for the class? So if you're in a math class that requires a specific type of calculator, that would go into the supplies. And then transportation, are you living on campus? Do you have a car? Gas, all those different things. So these are just estimates to kind of get you to see how much does it really cost to attend Florida State. But I always tell students, do not get kind of afraid of that price tag that you see, because oftentimes most students are not paying that. This is just what it costs, but you may not end up paying that based on the scholarships that you receive, any waivers that you receive as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. Some things we do like to point out and have bragging points about is that more than 60% of our first year students graduate with no FSU debt. So that means majority of their tuition was taken care of by scholarships and grants, and they did not have to actually take out student loans, different type of and federal aid and stuff like that. So that's something we love to kind of brag about with our students. But you can learn more about our cost and estimate on our financial aid website. Everyone is encouraged to turn in a FAFSA because that is free money to go to college. So it is encouraged for you to turn in a FAFSA for your summer start term and your fall start term, depending on when you're starting, to see what do you qualify for. If you have not started a FAFSA, highly encouraged, because it is based on a first come first serve basis. So the later you apply, the less money there is for them to actually distribute out to students, whereas the earlier apply, the more money they can actually give you. So definitely, if you haven't started that, highly encouraged to get started on that. So just want to go over a few scholarships that we do offer. We offer a lot, so we really do encourage you to go to the website admissions.fsu.edu and just put scholarships, and it will show you everything that we have available for scholarships. But these are just some of the 3 ones that we talk about a lot and get a lot of questions about. So our scholarships are merit-based, meaning every student actually is run through a list of scholarships to see what they qualify for. So you do not have to turn in an additional application for them. Now, if you're looking at scholarships within the Office of Financial Aid, they may require an application. So that's just something you'll want to check. But, excuse me, for our merit-based scholarships, all students are automatically considered for merit-based scholarships, and they're stackable. So you could receive multiple scholarships at once. Kind of going back to what I was saying is just because you see that sticker price, you may not actually end up paying that because of the scholarships that you qualify for. So our first scholarship that's pretty popular is our VEERA scholarship. This is awarded a total amount of about $1,600, and so that's distributed over 8 semesters. So while you're here, you're receiving that at the beginning of each fall semester. The way our scholarships works is we don't have a minimum criteria. It actually changes based on the year, based on the academic profile and how much funding that we have. So unfortunately, I can't say, oh, okay, well, you need this amount on this test score. We're looking for this GPA, because it changes per year based on that specific cohort of students that we're looking at to admit. The next one is University of Out-of-State tuition. You all are all Florida students, so this one does not apply to you. And the newest one that we have now is the IB Student Scholarship. So this is for students who are graduating with their IB diploma. They're going to receive about a total amount of $8,000, which is about $1,000 each semester. But we have way more scholarships available for students to kind of look into. So I highly encourage you to take time to look at that scholarships website to see what is available and see what you may be considered for. Now, once you receive the scholarship, there are going to be some guidelines that you do have to meet each semester in order to be renewed for that scholarship. And that's something that if you receive the scholarship, you'll find out more information for it after that. And you'll actually be working with our scholarship team within the Office of Admissions to make sure you're meeting those requirements each semester and meeting the requirements to have your scholarship renewed. But again, those are just some couple. Highly encourage you to go to the scholarship website just to see what's out there and what's available for you. So a little bit about university housing. So we offer 18 suite style first year student housing available for students. It is not required, but they have found that students that do live on campus that first year do have a higher success rate, and kind of goes into that retention piece. So it is highly encouraged to apply to on-campus housing if it's something you're interested in. Now, it is first come, first serve basis. So once accepted, turn in your application for a housing contract if you're planning to live on campus. We also have some living learning communities that are based on areas of interest for you. So if you're looking at engineering, there's an engineering living learning community where you're housed with different students also in engineering, all first year students, and you all are taking different classes together. Just another opportunity to actually start building your community with like-minded individuals. So they do summer fall contracts come available late February. So after you receive that acceptance package, the next thing you're doing is turning in that housing contract if you are considering housing as an option for your first year and second year. Most students do start to move off around that junior year, but sometimes we do have juniors and seniors who decide to still stay on campus. And then just some more community stuff. We offer over 750 plus student organizations. So there's something for everyone. So we do offer pre-med organizations, also Greek life organizations. There's different honors types organizations. So this is a great opportunity for you to get involved. There's literally something for everyone on campus. And each semester, what they actually do is an involvement fair at the beginning of the semester, which is a great opportunity to go out and see what's out there and kind of figure out what you're interested in. We also have something called No Central, which you can search whatever is out there. Again, there's something for everything. So we have homecoming as a big thing here on campus. Our res is a big thing on campus. Football season is a big thing on campus. So we do have a lot of activities for students to partake in when they're actually here on campus. So it is, yes, we want to see that you're doing well in classes and we want to focus on classes, but we also want you to have a good time and experience, community while you're here. So a lot of different ways to get involved on campus. Dining halls, really quickly, we offer about 30 plus different dining halls, 2 of them being your traditional, we offer 30 plus locations, eating locations, but 2 of them being your traditional dining halls. And I did mention earlier, we do offer meal plans. So again, once you receive that acceptance letter, you'll be able to choose a meal plan of your choice. Meal plans are not required, but they are encouraged because it does take that kind of worry about what do I have to eat today? What am I eating today and what's available? But we offer a lot of different eating options on campus. Multiple Starbucks, Subway, Einstein Bagels. I think we have like Panera Bread now, and we have a Pollo Tropical. The student union was just finished a few months ago. So we have a lot of food options for students to partake in on campus. So switching gears to some of our special programs. So for those students who are first generation Pell eligible, highly encourage you to look into our CARE Summer Bridge program. This is under the Center for Academic Retention Enhancement Department. They house a couple different programs and activities for students that traditionally have been underrepresented in higher education. So they do focus on our first generation Pell eligible students, but they do offer more outside of those areas for students. For our purposes though, we'll focus on the CARE Summer Bridge and Quest Scholars. So the Summer Bridge program, again, is for those first generation Pell eligible students. It's an immersive experience, 4-year experience for students starting in your summer term. So if accepted to the program, you would start classes that summer 2024. And it's designed to get you transitioned into college a little bit easier than instead of just showing up for fall when everyone is. But it is an immersive experience. You do have a care coach, a care advisor, etc. It's really designed to meet students at each stage of the college experience and help them in that transition, getting used to what it looks like to be in college. Okay, what does sophomore year look like? What does junior year look like? And also preparing them for postgraduate, especially for our students, again, who maybe don't have the support at home or parents don't have the experience, or the guardians don't have the experience of the college experience. CARE is designed to really provide that support and community for those students. So for it, you do have to be that first gen and Pell eligible. If you are interested in CARE, you'll want to click it on the Common App saying that I am interested in applying to CARE, and that application, that supplemental application, will be added to your application profile. But you must be first generation Pell eligible. You must be a Florida student or meet Florida resident requirements. All of you all meet those requirements. And commit to the 7-week summer experience plus 4 years of support that follows after that 7 weeks that you start in the summer term. And then the Embrace the CARE Excellence mantra. Unfortunately, I do not know that mantra, but you will. They do want to see that you're committed to their program because it is an intense program, but it's really designed to provide that support for students who do kind of fall in that first generation arena. The other program is Quest Scholars. This is an invitation only program. So this is for students who are already admitted to FSU and meet certain requirements to actually be invited to Quest Scholars. It's similar to CARE, but it's scaled down in the requirements. And you do not have to be first generation. You do not have to be Pell eligible. This is just designed to meet the students who may be don't need all the support that a first-generation Pell eligible student needs, but they still need some touch points of check-ins. So this is designed for those students. If you go to the CARE website, you can actually see what the difference is between going through the Summer Bridge program and the Quest Scholars. Unfortunately, with Quest Scholars, you can't indicate you're interested in it. It's just something that you'll receive an invitation saying, hey, we think you would be a great fit for it. And you can decide to participate in it or decline the participation. But again, I do encourage for the both of them to go to, if you do fall in the first generation Pell eligible status, or you are interested in learning more about Quest Scholars, go on their website and you can kind of see what the 4 years will look like, what the expectations are, and learn a little bit more about the CARE program also. And then this is just their contact information. So if you are in the process, definitely reach out to them. They can go into more detail about what the expectations are for them. So switching a little bit gears to the honors program. So the honors program really is, their whole goal is, again, nurturing and challenging, supporting intellectual curiosity amongst students. Really, for them, it's nurturing those thought leaders of the future. That's a big thing for them. So if you are interested in honors, highly recommend it. It's a little bit different than high school honors. I think oftentimes when students think honors, they're thinking, oh, I have to have all A's and B's, and I'm the smartest kid in my class, and that's what it means to be an honors student. At Florida State, that's not the case. They're looking for those who are interested in learning more outside of the classroom and really taking those ideas and growing it into something that actually manifests itself. So it's really good for those who are intellectually curious, and it's not necessarily just based on grades, similar to how it is in high school. So a couple things of what it looks like to be an honors student is you do have honors signature courses with other honors students that is taught by actual honors faculty members. And so this is a great opportunity, again, that community of getting to know other individuals, like-minded individuals in the honors program. You'll take a couple classes together, housed in the same living learning community. Honor students also do have their own residency hall. That's Landis and Jenny Murphy. So both are located in the middle of campus, so you can get to everything pretty easily. And then you have access to everything available in the university's honors program. So they have honors advisors, honors hours. If you're doing research, so let's say you're a student in Europe, you can partake in honors as well and kind of use those resources also. So they're very big on really nurturing the thought leaders of the future. Like that is their biggest thing that they're pushing for with their students, is they want to see that you're intellectually curious. So once you're in honors, a few things that you do have to do, because it is the honors program, is you do need to maintain a 3.2 GPA, take at least 4 honors courses throughout your time at FSU. So you have 4 years to do those courses. Take the first year honors colloquium, at least 1 honors signature course. This is stuff you will learn more about if accepted into the honors program. You will get more information about this at orientation. They have their own orientation for students to go to make sure that, they're informed of what they need to do, and participate in in-service leadership or research core curricular opportunities that come about. And they'll kind of walk you through what that looks like participating in their actual program. So to apply, same thing as if you're doing the Summer Bridge program or any other special program, is you'll apply to the university, then you'll indicate that you're interested in applying to the honors application, answer the essay question that they have for you, and then submit your application. Their deadline is December 1st, and you'll find out if you're accepted or not in February when our regular decisions come out as well. And that is their contact information. And then this is the general admissions contact information. So you can find out more than what I covered on our website. Also get in contact with your specific counselor if you do have questions about your application, and just learn more about those scholarships that I mentioned also.
Thank you, Ms. Ashland. That was very informative. We really appreciate it. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions. So we are going to do questions one of 2 ways. If you're comfortable, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the question. If not, you can type it in the chat and I will moderate the chat, making sure that we don't have duplicate questions and I can ask the question for you. So we have about 15 minutes left in our session. If you want to ask some questions, go ahead and do so either in the chat or unmute yourself. I'll go ahead and start. We had some questions from some of the people that registered. And one of the questions that I remember reading was, how hard is it to get into FSU?
Yeah, so that is a hard question to answer because again, it kind of goes back to what's the minimum that you have? What do I absolutely need to have in order to get in? And again, because we employ that holistic review process, there's no minimum. We've seen students who have a 16 on their ACT get into the university, and it's because we looked at, your resume, your essay, and saw that, hey, maybe test scores isn't your strong suit, but we still feel like you're a great fit for the FSU community. So that is hard to answer. We receive over 70,000 plus applications, and we look at all of them. So I tell students, don't tell yourself no before someone else tells you no. Turn in your application and we'll be the deciding factor of, yes, we want you, or hey, we think there may be somewhere else that's a better fit for you.
Right. Bella has a question in the chat. She wants to know, can we still get accepted to FSU if we do not have 2 years of foreign language?
So that is a requirement for us to have that 2 years of world language. Typically what we recommend students do is if you are currently in your first world language the senior year, then you need to make plans to take it either over the summer or plan to CLEP the exam. For instance, if it's like Spanish, German, French, because we do require that 2 years of world language for our students.
I have another question in the chat from Natasha. She has a question specific to fall or summer entry or admission, I should say. If you have a 4.9 GPA and a 1350 on the SAT, should you apply fall or summer?
So let's pull it up. So what I recommend students do when they're selecting what term to apply is look at the actual profile, and whichever profile you fit closer to, that's the one that you want to indicate that you're wanting to apply to. Another thing is to consider, when do you actually want to start college? So if, yes, you fit that fall profile, but you want to start in the summer, then apply for the summer. And even if you're higher than the summer range, we're not going to say, no, we don't want you for summer, we want you for fall. But based on your range, let me pull this back up. Based on your range, you really could do either or. It would just really be based on, well, when do you actually want to start classes? So, excuse me, again, if you want to start in the fall semester, by all means, you would be good to apply. And just because you meet the requirements does not guarantee acceptance. So again, so we do have students, like I said, we may have students who are above the summer and we deny them because maybe there was something else that we were like, okay, yes, you meet our test score and our GPA, but we're still looking at that application essay to see, do you fit as a good student for our specific community? So for you, because of your test range and test scores and GPA, you could apply to both. So I would just ask yourself, which one do you feel more comfortable with? Summer is a smaller amount of students on campus. So some students prefer to come in during summer to get that experience of what is it like on college before everyone returns in the fall semester. But it's also, again, up to your comfort level.
Yeah, and for all of our STRIDE students, we do encourage you, if you can attend in the summer and are able, we really do encourage you to apply for summer because you are more likely to get accepted in the summer versus the fall. And then we also have STRIDE programs over the summer as well. We have another question in the chat from Mia. How long of a resume does FSU accept?
We don't have a limit, so you can make it as long as you want. One thing we do say is avoid resume padding, where you're just kind of adding activities on your resume. we're kind of experienced at looking at resumes, so we know when students are just throwing things on there because it sounds nice. We're really looking for long-term commitment, things that actually maybe sometimes even if they align closer to your major, that's a plus as well, your long-term goals as well. So we are looking to see what are you actually committed in, so but we don't have a limit on the actual resume itself.
We have another question in the chat from Augie. When does the summer 2024 session start?
Typically, that is in the middle of May. I don't have an exact date. We won't get those dates until the beginning of spring semester, but summer typically is in the middle of May and goes until about the middle of, excuse me, if it's 6 weeks, end of June.
And I think the dates from last year are online, so you can kind of get an idea that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ashlyn, when you were talking about care, I'm not sure that all of our students know exactly what care is, but can you explain a little bit more about care and like when it occurs?
So for those students, they are going to start in the summer semester. So if you are applying to the Care Summer Bridge, you do have to understand that you're starting the summer semester. And they do that, one, because they do want those students to get a little bit more hand-holding in the transition to college. Because again, most of they're first-generation students. So this is their first time in college. They may be the first person, maybe siblings went to college, or maybe siblings did not go to college. So they want you to have that immersive 7-week experience with other Care Admit students. And you're taking about 6 to 7 credit hours in the summer semester. In the fall semester, you'll pick up your regular course schedule like other students. With care, there isn't a major requirement. They accept everyone. There's no discrimination of the major that you're looking at. They're really just focused on those students who are first gen and Pell eligible. I can pull up their actual like 4 years. It's a great program, but you do have to be committed to what it's going to require. Can you see this screen okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this is just their website. And again, if you are interested in Care Summer Bridge or Quest Scholars, highly encourage you to take a look at it because it goes into more detail than our presentation goes into. But here you can kind of see what they're looking at. So for them, the biggest thing is making sure you have connections to your FSU faculty and staff members, fellow students. Again, that community piece is big because they want to make sure you have a support system for the next 4 years. Providing you with access to academic support engagement opportunities. So one thing all Care Summer Bridge students will have to do is care tutor hours, meaning you have to go in to study at specific times for a certain amount of hours to actually meet their care requirements. The transition experience during your college life. This kind of goes about the eligibility piece. If you are accepted into care, there is financial benefits as well to it as well. So their students do receive a lot of scholarships. The CARE grant covers a good amount of tuition and expenses for students. So that is another financial benefit for applying to care and if you received acceptance into it. So this kind of talks about that summer bridge experience. So the 7 weeks that you start before fall semester. So you're taking about 2-3 credit hour liberal studies courses during the summer semester. They will count towards your liberal studies requirement and your major. You're meeting one-on-one in small groups with your care ambassador. So your care ambassador is a current care student as well, just maybe a junior or a senior, sometimes sophomores. You are doing different programming. So you're meeting your faculty. Again, but for them, it's about making sure students feel supported for their next 4 years and they know where to go when they have questions or need help. So they used to have it where you could actually see the full 4 years, but they might have taken it down. But the full 4 years actually broke down what you could expect. So as a first year student in the CARE Summer Bridge, what the expectations were for your sophomore year, junior year, senior year, and so on and so forth. But it's a great program for those who are interested in Florida State and may have that first generation Pell eligible experience and want to have a good support system once they get here, because they are really priding themselves in making sure their students are graduating successfully, doing well in their academics, as well as doing well in their social communal life also.
Perfect. We have another question in the chat from Mia. Are there any other benefits of applying for either summer versus fall?
Not really. It really just goes back to when do you want to start classes? The one thing you will see though is, I guess you could say one benefit is there is a difference in the profile for summer and fall. So if you noticed before, summer had a little bit of a lower profile than the fall students did. But again, that goes back to we met above and below, but traditionally our students who maybe don't have the strongest academic are encouraged to apply to the summertime, just so they get that additional support, an additional time frame before they come back in the fall semester. And you're dealing with, one, there's a bunch of more students, etc. You also get to know campus in a smaller, quieter environment. So you get to learn campus before everyone gets there and you're overwhelmed with the amount of students kind of moving and hustling and bustling amongst campus. So I would say really, yeah, it's do you want to get used to campus in a bigger environment with more people, or do you want to have it in a quieter time or slower transition that allows you to get used to the college experience? Also for summer, you're only required to take 2 classes, whereas in the fall, we're expecting for you to take at least 4 classes. So there's a higher in the course load as well requirement for summer. And then that profile does look a little bit different from our summer students and our fall students.
Great. Can you talk a little bit more about early action versus regular decision? Specifically, I read a question on the registration form. Are you more likely to get in if you apply early action?
Not necessarily. Early action basically says that, hey, if you apply early, you're going to get a decision December 14th. Where it comes into play that it is probably more of a benefit to apply to early action is just the amount of students that apply to early action versus regular decision. So early action, because it's only 40 students, we're looking at, for instance, let's say that we only have 10,000 students turn in their application, whereas regular decision, we have 40,000 applications from students. So where it becomes more competitive is, okay, I have more students that I can actually pull from, whereas in early action, I have less students. So your competition is lessened because of the amount of students. The profile is not different, because the profile, again, is kind of based more on that summer or fall, or if you're doing a special programs, their requirements as well look a little bit different. But where it benefits students, I guess, is again that how many students are applying for both decisions, and really the competitiveness of just having more applicants versus less applicants. So for students, I encourage students, if you can meet the October 15th deadline, you feel comfortable where your application will be at that point, then go ahead and get your stuff turned in, because it doesn't hurt you. With early action, you're going to receive a decision December 14th, and it's either going to be accepted, deferred, or denied. A defer just means that we're going to consider you for regular decision, and we'll tell you, hey, maybe we want to see how you do in your first semester of senior year. Maybe we're looking for you to do something else. We'll kind of give you, hey, do this, take care of this step, and we'll consider you again for regular decision. Now, if you're deferred to regular decision, you're only going to get an accept or a deny. Then we're not going to double defer you. Now, if you get a deny at that point at early action, it's a deny. So at that point, if you were wanting to appeal your decision, then you would have to go through the appeals process. And then if you get your traditional accept, you get your accept.
Perfect. There is a question in the chat from Mia. Do STRIDE students receive extra thought when you are reviewing their applications?
Yes, it is not publicly broadcasted, but that is something that we do take in consideration. So our STRIDE students and also our students at our partner schools, we do take a little bit more consideration when we're looking at their application as well.
All right, looks like that's about it. Well, thank you, Miss Ashlyn. I really appreciate you being here. I know your schedule is really crazy right now, this time of year. If any other questions come up between, now and the end of the night, or if after this you're talking with your parents and some questions come up, feel free to email me those questions. I'll compile all the questions asked after this session, and I will get them to Miss Ashlyn to answer, and then I'll get them all back out to you all. So just go ahead and email me with any questions that you have, and we'll make sure that we get them answered. So thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. We did record this session, so I will email that out to you as well in case you want to show it to your parents or anyone else from the STRIDE program that was not here. We do ask that you only show the video to our STRIDE students, though. We appreciate that.